Me come to tell it like the truth right now. Me come to tell it.
I said the truth must be why we're revealing the truth.
Once and for all people, tell it like it is. Tell it like it is.
Yeah man, welcome, your boy Marley B this. Yeah, at the new channel called Tell It Like It Is. Yeah man, you don't know what Tell It Like It Is. You understand? So right now, you don't know. And the first program this, so we just want to tune in every time and catch the latest like it is. So I want to do the same thing. Tell it like it is. Don't be partial. I have your friend, tell it like it is. You understand? Because the truth shall set you free. You understand? Right now, I want to talk about the world stage, because a whole lot of things are going on in the world. You don't know, say, right now, we are real Israelite, you understand? Them say we are slave, yeah, true that, because the Bible don't say we don't go into slavery and things, so we're there, right now in the West, and that alone prove the Bible right, say, we don't go into slavery. So right now, true, we don't go into slavery and thing, and you don't know, say, the father say, boy, we have to return. A bit things are going right now, you have a new president in the White House. And right now, he must say, yo, the new Jerusalem. Now you know, so the whole world don't really agree with that. And the UN don't really agree with that. So right now, the UN now go along, so they make a vote, and most of the people vote against it. So because of that now, them are threatening, US are threatening the UN and are threatening them, and I say, well, we give the most aid. So for the now, we say, well, right now, we name and Ray. Now, them ally and all them something the same way, you know, so. You have to know, say, yo, it's a body, so we have to work together. Even when we disagree, we have to disagree to agree. So, you understand, you can't just threaten the ally them openly like that. So, anyway, I saw the thing around. So, right now, I just want to show them, I'm bringing them back and bringing them forward again. When I don't know, say, a couple months ago, you have a black president in the US called Barack Obama. Now, you know, say, them demonize that man bad. I'm not saying the perfect still, but you don't know, say, at the time when they come, America was at a crossroad. And you see the crossroad of them they have to choose a black president, because the rest of people, them, even most of the white people, them, where they run for the government at the time, you know, then they kind of hawkish and through the war and thing, it would be really one serious thing. So it's either choose a black president or choose a white president and go war. And we don't know what would I do, we probably have World War III already. So we choose a black president first time. So very articulate and thing and everything, but we're not saying the perfect, but him do a lot of good for America. He make people actually start love America again. Anyway, you know, knowing Ghana, you know him the 2-term and thing, nobody believe him because of the 2-term, but him do it. Anyway, here comes Donald Trump now, and the whole, you say the white world love Donald Trump because they want the white president and thing, and they want America to be a white country, but at the same time, America is a country of many nations. So, it no matter who rule, it no matter if a Chinese, it no matter if a white, it no matter if a black, because guess what? As a melting pot, a whole heap of nation live there, and most nations for all, everywhere in the world, and nobody can deny that. And one time, them they say a liberty, so anywhere you come from, after you reach America, you're supposed to get citizenship, but all of a sudden they change all of them things. Still, you don't know where go already. A setup thing where they might try to help certain people and not help certain people. You know a thing go already. But anyway, when it come to Obama now, him do so much good, but yet America demonize him and make him look so bad. So I'm going to go now and look at his script of the difference between Obama and Trump in a 100 days in the office. And from this up, uno make your own decision and tell it like it is. So I go want to see some likes and some comment and something like that. So you understand? Me just a show you what go on, and uno look on world views and look what go on in the world and how the thing I go, and uno make your own decision. You understand? Me can't only lead the horse to water, but me can't make him drink it. You understand? So me just go lead and show you the thing, and uno make your own decision. See? So check out the video right now and then tell me what I go on after you look on it and see the difference. You make the likes or comment and tell me what I go on. See? Alright, your boy Marley B. Soon link on the back, yeah? Man, boom.
Of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President. President Donald Trump's first full day in office, met by one of the largest inauguration-related demonstrations in U.S. history. A sea of protesters, mostly women, marching on Washington today. Organizers and other officials claiming big turnout. And not just here in the nation's capital, millions marched in cities around the country.
In what he's calling a historic step, President Barack Obama unveiled a two-pronged approach to making vehicles more efficient and environmentally friendly.
Several thousand protesters here in Los Angeles closed both the departure and the arrival lanes. Traffic was at a standstill for miles. Thousands of passengers missed their flights. 15 flights delayed or canceled because the crews couldn't make it to the airport.
And with the stroke of a pen, another big break from the Bush era. Democrats in Congress have been trying to get this equal pay law through for nearly 2 years. Today it became a reality. The first bill signing had something of a party atmosphere. The president handing out pens and hugs to Lilly Ledbetter, the woman whose decade-long legal battle culminated today.
I signed this bill for my daughters and all those who will come after us.
A federal appeals court in San Francisco has just declined to reinstate President Trump's temporary ban on refugees and on travel from 7 predominantly Muslim countries. Last week, a lower court stopped it, and the Trump administration appealed.
Embattled National Security Advisor Michael Flynn resigned. In his letter to the president, he says he briefed the vice president and others with incomplete information regarding his phone calls with the Russian ambassador. Democrats jumped on the information that Flynn may have discussed sanctions against the Russians before President Donald Trump was sworn into office.
It was a White House news conference unlike any other before.
A surprise conference had President Trump both answering reporters and also questioning them right back.
The press has become so dishonest. The press honestly is out of control. The tone is such hatred. Tomorrow they will say, Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people.
President Barack Obama capped off the biggest victory of his month-long administration Tuesday, signing into law the most sweeping economic package in decades.
Today does mark the beginning of the end, the beginning of what we need to do to create jobs for Americans scrambling in the wake of layoffs, the beginning of what we need to do to provide relief for families worried that they won't be able to pay next month's bills.
The bill pumps money into infrastructure projects, healthcare, and renewable energy. The short-term goal is job creation. The long-term goal is economic viability.
Arriving in the Canadian capital of Ottawa, the president received a royal welcome from Canada's official representative of the Queen of England. Thousands lined his motorcade route into the city. On Parliament Hill, he was greeted by Prime Minister Stephen Harper, and at Mr. Obama's suggestion, they stepped outside to acknowledge the cheering crowd.
Well, the New York Times and CNN, among others, were excluded from today's press briefing. Now, this gets a little bit into the media weeds, but the White House is changing the terms of the deal here with the press today.
President Barack Obama entered the House chamber Tuesday night to rousing cheers. Before his first address to Congress was over, the president would receive more than 60 rounds of applause.
What is required now is for this country to pull together, confront boldly the challenges we face, and take responsibility for our future once more.
U.S. President Barack Obama chose Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, to announce plans to pull U.S. combat troops out of Iraq by August 2010.
By August 31st, 2010, our combat mission in Iraq will end.
The challenges we face as a nation are great, but our people are even greater. And none are greater or braver than those who fight for America in uniform.
Finally, today I've signed a memorandum that will help restore the scientific process to its rightful place at the heart of the Endangered Species Act, a process undermined by past administrations. The work of scientists and experts in my administration, including right here in the Interior Department, will be respected.
Fireworks at the White House just hours after the Republican and Democratic leaders of the Senate Intelligence Committee released a statement together saying there are no indications of any surveillance at Trump Tower. It comes after those explosive allegations President Trump's claimed that President Obama wiretapped him before the election.
The White House released a photo of President Trump signing a new executive order imposing a 90-day ban on visas for citizens from 6 Muslim-majority countries traveling to the U.S.
With the executive order I am about to sign, we will bring the change that so many scientists and researchers, doctors and innovators, patients and loved ones have hoped for and fought for these past 8 years. We will lift the ban on federal funding for promising embryonic stem cell research. The relative decline of American education is untenable for our economy. It's unsustainable for our democracy. It's unacceptable for our children. And we can't afford to let it continue.
Much more for the military, much less for many domestic and international aid programs. That is the upshot of President Trump's first budget.
I would like to speak clearly to Iran's leaders. We have serious differences that have grown over time. My administration is now committed to diplomacy that addresses the full range of issues before us and to pursuing constructive ties among the United States, Iran, and the international community.
I have been authorized by the Department of Justice to confirm that the FBI, as part of our counterintelligence mission, is investigating the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. And that includes investigating the nature of any links between individuals associated with the Trump campaign and the Russian government, and whether there was any coordination between the campaign and Russia's efforts. As with any counterintelligence investigation, this will also include an assessment of whether any crimes were committed.
Good afternoon. We are continuing our coverage of the failure of the repeal of the Republican Obamacare bill. The bill was pulled just a little over an hour ago by the Speaker of the House because he could not muster enough Republican votes to pass it.
President Obama is about to convene the first ever online town hall from the White House.
By signing an executive order at the Environmental Protection Agency, Mr. Trump took the first step toward erasing rules limiting carbon dioxide emissions from coal-fired power plants and easing restrictions on new coal mines.
The president also woke up to this with a 35% approval rating, according to Quinnipiac. That's lower than Obama's worst approval rating.
Significantly lower than any new president at this point in their presidency. I mean, no one has even been close to this level.
This morning, another blow for the president's so-called travel ban after a federal judge in Hawaii extended a previous ruling, essentially making the temporary hold on the ban more permanent while its merits are argued in court.
General Motors boss Rick Wagner is quitting at White House request, one day before President Obama's announcement of a new bailout plan for GM and Chrysler. The administration is also seeking tough concessions from unions.
We must engage in a whole-of-government approach to combat Russian active measures.
We simply must, and we will, get this right.
The experts testifying before the panel warned that anyone is now vulnerable to Russian interference.
In London, all of the various world leaders are getting into place.
Whitehall locked down as the presidential motorcade, flown in for the occasion, sweeps into Downing Street. A businesslike wave at the start of a critical 2 days, a summit with the loftiest possible agenda.
In Strasbourg at NATO's 60th anniversary summit, the message was that he came to Europe not just to lead, but to listen.
America can't meet our global challenges alone, nor can Europe meet them without America.
As a nuclear power, as the only nuclear power to have used a nuclear weapon, the United States has a moral responsibility to act. We cannot succeed in this endeavor alone, but we can lead it, we can start it. So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
President Trump down in Mar-a-Lago about to speak on that military strike he has ordered against Syria, 50 Tomahawk cruise missiles in retaliation for that chemical weapons attack by the Assad regime on Tuesday that killed more than 80 people.
Listening, cooperating, leading. He also took that message to Turkey on his first official visit to a predominantly Muslim country. In Ankara, he paid tribute to Turkey's history, culture, and role in the world. He voiced strong support for its bid to join the European Union, and he reached out to Muslims.
The United States is not and will never be at war with Islam.
The president flew in on an unannounced trip to Camp Victory outside Baghdad.
Thank you.
But the welcome from the troops whose mission he is ending could not have been warmer.
It is time for us to transition to the Iraqis. They need to take responsibility for their country and for their sovereignty.
Gorsuch will now fill the Supreme Court seat left vacant by the death of Justice Antonin Scalia, who died more than a year ago.
Press Secretary Sean Spicer this morning publicly apologizing.
I'm absolutely sorry, especially during a week like this, to make a comparison that is inappropriate and inexcusable.
That apology in the wake of growing outrage after Spicer's misfire during Tuesday's White House briefing, comparing Syrian President Bashar al-Assad to Adolf Hitler.
Navy SEAL snipers opened fire from the deck of the Bainbridge. They'd also been shadowing the lifeboat off and on from inflatable boats at sea level. Within minutes, 3 of the pirates were dead, Captain Phillips was free, and the pirate aboard the Bainbridge gave himself up. President Obama had given the green light for decisive military action on Friday. In a statement, he saluted Captain Phillips' courage as a model for all Americans.
The president took to Twitter this morning and reiterated his threat to China. If they don't take care of North Korea, then the U.S. and its allies will.
The mother of all bombs, the most powerful non-nuclear bomb in the U.S. military, tested but never before actually deployed until now, right there in eastern Afghanistan.
For 47 years, the United States has had an embargo with Cuba. This week, President Obama lifted some restrictions on the communist country. Cuban Americans who wish to travel to the island and send money home to their relatives can now do so more easily.
President Obama arrives in Mexico this afternoon. His visit comes just a day after he appointed a drug czar to monitor the U.S.-Mexican border.
Well, we've just concluded a very productive summit. What we showed here is that we can make progress when we're willing to break free from some of the stale debates and old ideologies that have dominated and distorted the debate in this hemisphere for far too long.
This is why we have courts, to halt the overreach of a president and attorney general who either don't understand the Constitution or choose to ignore it.
A federal judge in San Francisco rules that the Trump administration cannot punish sanctuary cities, but the fight isn't over yet.
The president's plan to overhaul 70,000 pages of federal tax laws so far boiling down to barely 200 words. Critics say it's a PR pitch, not a proposal.
It is a plan to lower President Trump's taxes, the taxes of his cabinet, and people as wealthy as they are.
Deflecting questions about how this blueprint would balloon the deficit. President Trump hasn't given any details about how his 3 proposed personal tax brackets, 10, 25, and 35%, would apply to different income levels.
At such a difficult moment, there are those who say we cannot afford to invest in science, that support for research is somehow a luxury at moments defined by necessities. I fundamentally disagree. Science is more essential for our prosperity, our security, our health, our environment, and our quality of life than it has ever been before. We will devote more than 3% of our GDP to research and development. We will not just meet, but we will exceed the level achieved at the height of the space race through policies that invest in basic and applied research, create new incentives for private innovation, promote breakthroughs in energy and medicine, and improve education in math and science.
So now, after watching that, what do you think? Yeah? I want to believe. I want to believe them fear or the unfair, you know, when it come to color of the skin. I look upon the color of a man's skin, I look upon the content of his character. You understand? So I don't really judge people by them skin color. You have somebody come from a different race and help you more than even your own race. So you can't really look upon the color of a man's skin, yeah? So, as we look at views, we're going to look at comments and tell me what I want. Soon upon the next video, see? Marley B out. Bless.